In today's video, we're going to be talking about which units you should be building for PvP and which ones are good. These are going to be the top kind of like best units. We're not going to go over every single unit of the game, but these are just kind of my recommendations. So hopefully you guys enjoy. Leave a like, subscribe to the channel if you. Let's just jump straight into things. Alright, little side note before we jump into the video. The Primal Lord for the, what's the area? The Dark Forest just finished. So make sure you jump by here and claim your rewards if you haven't already. Okay, so as for units that are really good for PvP, there are quite a few that are really, really strong, and they're ones you're going to want to build very, very soon if you haven't started already. Now, the first one I'm going to talk about is going to be Rhina. I made a video dedicated to this guy. These are the units that you're going to be doing over earning and building over a long period of time. Rhina is really, really strong for PvP. If you watched my previous video, if you haven't, I'm not going to spend too much time touching him because I've already talked about him in a dedicated video. But basically, the way he functions is he can send an ally from your side when you place him like one tile behind him. And you can take that ally and then swap the ally by teleporting them with another enemy and swap the positions of the two of them. And you can selectively choose the way it is, like the same way you can with like Sylvania or like other characters that target like a specific unit. You can select which backline enemy unit you're taking. This is really handy because what you can do is, say for example in PvP, they have a Rowan, right? And that Rowan is there to like juice up the Cecia, give her ultimate faster. You can target that Rowan, swap positions with them with your unit that can stay alive for long enough, kill the enemy unit, and then your other unit will swap back. So it's like, it's very, very good. He's very, very strong for PvP because you can do a lot of things with him. The next unit I recommend building is going to be Odie. This unit, once you get him to Mythic Plus, to be clear with this, you really want to try and get him to Mythic Plus. If you're not planning on dedicating that to him, like getting to Mythic Plus, he's still good, but he's not going to be as good for you in PvP. The reason why this is insanely strong in PvP, if we read what his Mythic Plus ability does, or his weapon, Odie immediately defeats poison enemies when their HVP falls below a certain limit, which is equal to 5.2 times the base damage dealt by dart poison per second. Each time a poison enemy hero is defeated, the limit is increased by 0.5 times of the base damage dealt by poison dart per second up to 2 times. Basically, whatever unit he has poisoned, at a certain point when they fall below a certain HP threshold, they're just insta-kill. He will just straight up insta-kill them. And you can probably see how this can be insanely strong for PvP, because it can actually like sometimes like chain. So I'm trying to like really, really try and get him to Mythic Plus at the moment. I'm actually getting pretty close. I'm almost there. And I'd say try and focus on getting him there because he's really, really strong in PvP. I've seen gameplay of him. I've seen like things. You can go to most tier lists and he'll be like S+ tier. Like he's really, really strong and a strong recommendation from me. That's one of the top DPS units I recommend building. All right, let's talk about the other Celestia real quick. If I actually am even able to look at them, where are they? Sorry, how do I do this again? Give me a second. I need to find the. Here we go. Okay. So the other option is going to be Scala. Scala is a warrior. And she's really, really good. Don't get me wrong, but I would still really strongly recommend building Rhina. She's good, but the reason why I don't recommend her over Rhina is she's worse in some of the other content in the game. So basically what she's strong at is she's good with PvP and she's good with story clear, which is, if that's what you're looking for, that's fine. Pull her, because she's still pretty good. And if you like her preference of character, she's way better. Well, potentially way better for you design-wise, if that's your preference. But the two things she falls flat in is, which Rhina does not, is basically just bossing. So your Dream Realm and your Primal Lords, she's not going to be as strong in comparison to Rhina. For example, if you go over like Pride, when I'm just looking at this right now, I just brought it up. She's A rank basically in bossing, whereas Rhina is like S+ tier in story, S+ tier in PvP, and S+ tier in bossing. So like he's a much better unit in the long run, and I believe Rhina also gets a lot stronger the further he goes. Like he scales better than I believe she does, but that also could be wrong. I haven't had a huge amount of time to really play around with her yet. The important one is always going to be this one here to see how strong they are, because this is going to be their Mythic Plus weapon upgrade. And this is pretty good. So Scala deals true damage if there are at least 4 surviving non-summoner allies on the other than herself on the battlefield. It's strong, it's just a big damaging ability, and that's the reason why I still recommend Rhina. Just because of the fact that he's not only really strong, but his utility in his ultimate is insane. His Mythic Plus is pretty good too. Rhina deals 200% damage to the enemy and knocks them down when casting Dynamic Balance, increasing their damage taken until the end of the turn. And getting extra upgrades of this are pretty insane too. Like he's really strong. I strongly recommend picking up Rhina over her. However, if you want to pick up 𝙀𝙓𝙋𝘼𝙉 because you like the character or you like the sound of the kit, do that as well. She's also really, really good in PvP as well. Another really, really good option, which I haven't managed to pick up yet, so I'm not going to talk on them too much, but I kind of get the gist of what they do because I've seen it be used against me so many damn times. And it's a character I'm trying to pick up at the moment as well. So I would strongly recommend, where is he? Let me find him real quick. This guy. So this guy is really, really strong and he's really, really good. However, there are cases where I would not recommend picking him up, and here's why. PvP, really, really strong. And late game story, really strong, but pretty much everything else he sucks ass at. So the main reason you build this guy or pick him is for his Verdant Cyclone ultimate. Basically what it does is it deals a bunch of damage, but it basically does a big cyclone and any enemy that is nearby gets pulled into it and it basically CC'd for a short duration of time. Which is, as you can probably imagine in PvP, can be very devastating if you set things up correctly. And this is also really strong too. His weapon is kind of insane. The first cast does not consume energy. But the damage is reduced, so then you can just like cast it again, I suppose. And you can also, different levels, you can increase the immobilizing duration as well, which is kind of insane. Because like 6 seconds of being immobilized in PvP, when the enemy team is still able to wail on you, that is just devastating. So he can be very, very strong for PvP. Alright, next up, Rowan. This guy I just recommend building for everything. Currently, in my opinion, there are the two best supports in the game are currently 𝙀𝙬𝙋𝘼𝙉, but he's not as great for PvP, so we're not going to talk about him, and Rowan. Rowan is kind of nuts. I haven't gotten into Mythic Plus yet. I'm trying to get him there because his Mythic Plus is going to be insane. But basically what he is he's a healer, but he also generates a large amount of ultimate for your team, energy for your team, which is kind of nuts. So if you read what he does, Rowan moves up one tile and throws coins upon reaching the destination, providing surrounding allies within 2 tiles with 250 energy. And as you can see, it increases at different level up stages. So he maxes out at 320 points. The reason why this is nuts, so for those of you who don't know, different units start with initial energy. Some start with none, some start with a little bit. So like, for example, Seeya doesn't start with any. But the total of this energy thing is always 1,000 for the ultimate bar, basically. So for example, if we have Thorin here, that 320 would give him, put him up at 520 initial energy, so a bit of a halfway just from using the ultimate. What this often allows you to do is allows you to get your ultimate up faster. And then what you can do, and the reason why that's really strong, is there are certain characters in the game like Seeya, which she does a crap load of damage with her ultimate, so what you can do is, if you can get your ultimate up sooner, especially before their Seeya or their damage carry, you can effectively steamroll their team in some cases, which is very, very good. So Rowan is very, very strong. I mean, just this setup I'm running in general at the moment, it's pretty damn strong for PvP. Probably should switch off 𝙀𝙬𝙋𝘼𝙉 with 𝙀𝙓𝙋𝘼𝙉 for another healer or a Damien. But I like using 𝙀𝙬𝙉 for a few other reasons, because he also generates energy as a battery. But 𝙀𝙀𝙉𝙉's not quite as good for PvP, because he has a limited like healing range. I believe that's the reason why he's not as good. But yeah, still very strong overall. I'm not going to talk about Seeya, because we all kind of know what she does already. She's really strong. Lots of people have talked about it. She's really good for PvP. Also, where are we? Once you get... Wait, where is she? Once you get Vela to Mythic Plus as well, she becomes really, really strong in PvP. The reason why is when she darts across the now, before you get into Mythic Plus, she has a very high chance of dying because she's very flimsy without this Mythic Plus thing. I'll just read it so you understand. When a marked enemy is defeated, Vela hides in the darkness and can only be targeted after all other allies are defeated, increasing their movement speed. Basically, she just hides herself immediately after teleporting and dealing a big chunk of damage. This is really strong because she has very squishy, and what will happen sometimes is she'll decide to teleport to the backline at a very inopportune time, and she'll get herself killed. So if you want it to be like really good in PvP, you need to get it in Mythic Plus. And lastly but not least, probably the best tank I would recommend to the game, just for everything across the board. This is the only unit where I'm like, must pull, you need to have this unit. And that's Thorin. I'm not going to touch on this one too much because this has probably been a very high target of everyone. Most people probably have this unit already or have been trying to get him. But just really briefly, he basically has a large amount of damage in his ultimate, and the first time he dies, he basically resurrects himself, which is kind of sick, and it can only be triggered once per battle, and you can get different energy thresholds. You can also at level 4 gain energy back as well. Thorin's really, really strong. I don't think I need to talk about this too much. Obviously, we all know this kind of already, same as Seeya. Those are the units that I would personally recommend building for PvP. There are obviously plenty of other units that are really strong as well for PvP. I didn't touch obviously on all of them. But yeah, I'd probably recommend going for something like this team setup. If you want to run like Scala as well or Rhina team, you can substitute these in places. But most PvP teams are going to look something like this with these two, to a combination of 2 or 1 supports, and then usually an Odie and some other kind of like DPS, like a Sylvania, like a Seth, a Shakir, an Eagle, like those kind of things are going to be what's going to be popping up a lot. Also, in a previous video when I was doing a thing, I made a little mistake saying Parisa was bad. I was wrong. I was looking at the bossing and like other tier lists. She's actually apparently really good in PvP. So I want to make, I'm actually going to currently try to start building her and try her out in PvP. Anyways, that's going to be it for today's video. Hope you guys all enjoyed. Obviously, you guys don't have any enough time, but those are the units that I recommend prioritizing building for PvP. Anyways, guys, have a good one. See you later. Bye.